All right, everybody, welcome to Behind the Barn Radio, episode 2 with Willy James. How we doing, Bob?
Good. How are you, brother? Thanks for having me out.
Oh my God, man, it's been crazy. It's been crazy since the last time you've been on here.
Yeah, man, it looks great in here.
Oh man,
I like it.
I appreciate it. What all you been up to since the last time?
I've been busy, man. I played like crazy this year. I played well over, I think September I was well over 100 shows or something, and I took some time off. Been writing, of course, and I've been doing a lot of recording. I have about 15 songs in the can. Some need finished, but really gearing up to get a lot of content out next year.
Really?
You know, streamline it to where it's like, because this year I had these plans, but I didn't have, everything went by the wayside, and I just played a bunch of shows and didn't really do all the other stuff, which was great. I loved it. This next year, I want to be a balance of more content and less shows, doing more quality shows with, you know, but just, I loved playing a bunch of shows, but I'm looking forward to playing more kind of thought out songs and,
Right.
you know, just kind of upping the quality a little bit to where it's not as much quantity.
Yeah. I mean, you've been on the news and everything. You've been promoting yourself and been very active as far as like the music culture in this area.
Yeah. Yeah. I feel fortunate to be here now. Like, I feel like I came like the perfect time. I love Kentucky, and, you know, I have my dad's from North Carolina, and I lived in Kentucky, and the music scene here is just, the potential is, there's like no cap on it. Like it's just, there's plenty of opportunity. You just have to be deliberate, you know, I guess, you know, and a lot of it. But
so, I mean, I know I talked to DJ Everman, who was on my
love
first,
DJ. He's a good dude.
DJ, love you, DJ. Perfect first podcast interview to start this off. I mean, because Behind the Barn Radio, and I said this on like during our interview and everything, like this was not to be pigeonholed by genre or anything. It's just whoever wants to come and play, show up, get in front of the camera, get recorded, and we'll get you out there and everything. That was my vision with this. And we talked about like Appalachia and like West Virginia, Kentucky, Ohio, and how the music scene, the music genre as a whole, not like being a part of like mainstream or anything.
Right.
And I feel like, because I said this before, but living in Nashville for like 2 years, you go down Broadway, you do any of that, and everybody's trying to be copy and paste and stuff. So, I mean, being
Hi, kitty.
What are you doing, Havoc? Oh my God.
It's all right.
Being, I mean, I would say that you're pretty successful. I mean, you're out there, you're working this. I mean, we all have our 9-to-5 jobs and stuff, but
I feel very fortunate, and definitely feel success in this year. Like, I mean, I didn't mean to interrupt, but
no, you're fine.
But yeah, no, I totally agree that I used to look at success in a different way, of like a goal line of like, once I reach that, and that's kind of irrelevant now. It's more of a contentment thing and realistic expectations.
Right.
And I'm not saying I don't strive to do better than I'm doing. I always want to improve and hone in on it. But at the end of the day, I feel successful. I feel like if I had to stop playing music, that I'd be content with what I've done thus far.
I mean, you have done so much. You have written so much. And what you were telling me the first time that you were here, like recording back in January, like you talked about your dad and how many songs and like his book of poetry that he had, and that like you wanted to strive to be able to make songs out of them.
Yeah, I mean, I loved his poetry, and I did that co-write song on Old Man, with one of my favorite poems of his. His family's where all my music came from as well. Like, my Uncle Joe played guitar, and there's a picture somewhere that I really want, or I'm going to have someone recreate. But there's a picture of me as a toddler asleep in my uncle's guitar case.
Really?
And I'm like, that's like the coolest piece of like photography in my life. I feel like to encase like
yeah
the heritage of it. And yeah, like, so I took that song in the breakdown. I took one of my dad's poems and put it in there. And there's another song of his that I would like to put to music. And creativity, though, is just something that's in the family, regardless of if it's music or whatever it is. Expressing yourself through something is something that was definitely taught in the family, that it was like good to have an outlet, right? Like, it didn't matter what it was as long as it was healthy.
Right.
So I feel fortunate in that, that I wrote so many memorial songs for my dad, and like I started playing music at the beginning to get through it. It was such a therapeutic thing. I had written songs previously, but my father passed away 3 weeks before my 14th birthday.
Right.
And I used music to comprehend those emotions and translate them into really crappy songs for quite well. No, I mean, it was kind of odd. I had close to 50 songs I had written before I ever picked up a guitar, like in my head, that were just silly things I sang and stuff. And like, so when I started writing after my dad had passed, there was the structure of the song, stuff like that were fine, but I didn't have the vocabulary to express it, in my opinion, elegantly enough, for it. But there are some of those songs that I've went back and there's pieces of it that I'm like, holy smokes, like this is actually, this little nugget right here is great. The rest of it throw away. But like,
Right.
So I think as far as creativity goes, I'm not one of those that thinks that, I don't think there's any bad creativity. I think there is better and worse, but there's no bad or good.
Right.
But
well, I get what you're saying about coming from a lineage of an artistic family. I mean, my whole dad's side, they were bluegrass and gospel singers.
Yeah.
And stuff. So it's kind of innate. I mean, I don't do what you do, but I play guitar. I can sing when I feel like I'm confident enough and all that. What do you feel like is like your biggest inspiration for your style, though?
As far as like influence wise?
Yeah. Like where do you draw inspiration for your style, for the songs that you write, and like where does it all come from?
Well, I believe that I have a God-given gift. Like,
Right.
as far as that goes, I think that it all comes from God. I've written songs that I don't even, it's more of like a co-write. Like, I get done with it and I'm like, I didn't do that. Like, I've had those moments.
Right.
It's so powerful and clear that it's from that. As far as influences though, that's another thing I feel fortunate with my family is I have, 12 siblings or something, and I'm the youngest. My oldest sibling's pushing 60 or something, like, and I'm 36, or, and with that in mind, they all had different music tastes. So like I found that my singing, like I had influences for my singing, for my songwriting, my guitar playing, like,
Right.
and they all kind of went into a blender. So vocally, John Fogerty's a huge vocal influence. Waylon Jennings, Bob Seger, those are like my top 3 vocal. And maybe throw in some like Hank Williams Sr.,
Right.
you know, and but then like songwriting, man, I mean, I've just been influenced by so many songs. I was saying earlier, I listened to 613 different artists this year.
Oh yeah.
You know, I mean, I'm constantly consuming music and love hearing songs I've never heard before. You know, that there's a lot of stuff that I've only listened to once, but I remember it, you know.
Oh yeah.
And that means something.
Yeah,
right?
it makes an impact.
Yeah, and that's so influence, you know, and as a guitarist, I'm a blues guy. So like
Havoc.
don't fall down, bud. So I love Stevie Ray Vaughan. I love like Albert King and B.B. King and Albert Collins, and I mean all that stuff. I could go on and on about guitar geek stuff. I'm also a huge Zakk Wylde fan. And I mean, yeah, I mean, my brothers were all into. Like I saw Megadeth; they were incredible in concert. I've seen Ozzy twice with Zakk, and so I mean, I'm kind of across the board. And when it comes to writing, it's gotten to a point now that I mean, I'm influenced by everything. Like everything is a funnel. It's like my funnel has gotten bigger to where like every moment of existence can be transformed into creativity, where it used to be like only when I'm overwhelmed or, you know, something significant or whatever it may be. But now like I could take something. Now I'm not saying I'd capitalize on that ability, but I've gotten to a point that I can write a song about pretty much anything, you know, and have fulfillment in it, you know, not, and, so yeah, I kind of went off the deep end there, but basically influence wise, I'm across the board. I love soul singers. Like I obviously have a raspy kind of soulful voice,
it's
you know,
amazing. It's amazing.
It's a different, it's different. And, it took me a long time to figure out how to sing. I didn't know how. I just still don't necessarily know how, but I at least have enough of an idea to run with. But like half the time, if someone tried to, you know, have me break down what I'm doing, I'd be like, "Your guess is good as mine."
Right.
You know, like.
Yeah, I mean, you do it out of feel, you do it out of emotion in the moment and everything.
Yeah.
And I mean, that's what comes natural.
The bizarre thing is the difference in my talking voice to singing voice. Like it's
uncanny. It's on a different spectrum.
Yeah, it really is a weird thing. It's not even close. There's some people I've heard that are somewhat different, but I mean, it really is bizarre.
No, it's so good. It is really amazing. When you first came here and you introduced yourself, and I mean, you've grown from Berea, right?
Yeah, Richmond.
Yeah, Richmond, Berea. You came up here the first time, and when you first sat down and you started, I was like, holy shit. Like,
that was fun, man.
That was like a punch in the face in the best way possible. I was like, this is like so unique and so great. And thank you again for coming up here and giving me a chance on just something that I had in a bedroom upstairs.
It's a blast, dude. I'm all about that. I like people who make content that is for the artist is always something. I had a background, like I filmed a TV pilot when I was in Montana it didn't come to fruition, but like,
I think you told me about this.
Yeah, and I love that, and I love being a part of that as an artist. Just as much as I do as a consumer. Like, so thank you. I guess
dude.
at the end of it, like that's I'm stoked that there are opportunities like this. That when I was in Montana, I love Montana. It's my home. It's a beautiful place. Winters suck, and the music scene where I was at, because I was in a tiny little town, that it's 60 miles to another town.
Right.
You're just like kind of secluded. I have some great friends that I played music with, but like as far as the infrastructure and having like a neighborhood and network of artists, like I've met well over, I've been here a little over 2.5 years, right around that. And I've met, upwards to 200 musicians or creative music people in some way. And there are very few that weren't awesome.
Right.
Like the majority, and I mean the mass majority, were awesome. And I love that. I love the camaraderie of it. And I love that songwriting is being celebrated, because at the end of the day, that's my thing. Like, I like to perform, I like to record, but creating songs is what I was created to do, and that's what I love to do.
I love that. So you talked about your siblings, and I know that we had a conversation before during a recording session about how music was shared and everything. And I mean, you got 12 siblings. I have one. And like I classify myself as like the black sheep of the family. Like, I like really heavy metal. That's my thing. I played that to myself, and like that's what comforts me as far as my genre and stuff. And you told me that like your siblings would go back and forth and play something.
Excuse me. No. Yeah. So like sharing music, is a huge thing. Excuse me, goodness. My sister got me into like 90s country and like 80s, like Alice Cooper, and of course he's beyond the 80s, but
yeah.
All right. And with that in mind, like that was kind of her, she took me to my first concert. I went to see Chris Ledoux, who is still my top 5. I got my Spotify rap thing, and it was Waylon Jennings, Chris Ledoux, Chris Christopherson, Eric Church, and shoot, I don't remember what the 5th was. But anyway, like,
yeah,
I love Chris Ledoux, and a lot of people have no idea who that guy is.
Yeah.
But then my brothers were all into metal. So like Megadeth, Metallica, Testament, King Diamond. Oh, I mean, I could go on, and I love that stuff.
Right.
I don't play it like I
know you can. Your ability with the guitar like reflects.
Yeah, that. I definitely I've went down that road. I have a couple of recordings with my dear friend Steve, who's like one of the best drummers ever back in Montana. And he's a metalcore.
Yeah,
his thing. Yeah. And he had this super awesome bass, or drum set that had V drums built in, and we did this crazy like techno metal thing that was like, I had all these different effects, and it was a departure from what I just recorded, obviously, right. But like, so that was always a weird transition, because I was in a blues rock band that I recorded 2 albums with, and it wrote a 3rd album. And I mean, that 3rd album was like more on the hard rock edge of blues. Like, it had blues elements, but it was hard rock. Like, I mean,
Yeah.
we had some crazy, everything from time signature changes to key changes to like,
Mm-hmm.
you know, I was doing a lot of different lead stuff that I hadn't done before. And then the band broke up. But I had spent 3+ years of just playing that style of like electric guitar, like in your face, guitar driven music.
Right.
Not that I was doing anything crazy, but like it was guitar driven. And then I had these other songs that I had written previous to the band and during the band that were more lyric driven. And I started going more towards that because I always, musicality I've had to work hard at.
Mm-hmm.
As far as ability, I've had to really, it doesn't come to me as naturally as lyrics and words do.
Right.
And melody and like singing and stuff was a lot easier than guitar for me. It's kind of weird, but yeah.
No, I get that. I mean,
So I kind of I got off with but my family for sure and all of the siblings was a huge reason. Because my brothers played guitar. My brother Billy was my drummer in my band. He recorded on our second album. And it was funny. We grew up right one room away in a trailer house, you know, all over the United States, wherever we lived. And we never learned a song together, ever.
really.
Like for 7 to 10 years, I don't know how long. Didn't even attempt it. And once we tried Highwaymen, America's Remains, because there was multiple singers, and like we tried it and never really did anything. And then he got on a drum set, and that's how we played together. Like he was now we could totally play guitar together.
Yeah.
You know, like it, but at that time it wasn't. I love his drumming. Like it was so much fun to play music with a sibling. You know,
Yeah.
That was another thing that I loved about music was, regardless of siblings or anything, I think it's one of the most intimate things, and in a way of like connecting. You know, like when you co-write a song, I mean that's like more intimate than anything I've ever experienced.
100%.
And true beauty in art, not always, but there has to be an element of vulnerability, in my opinion.
Yes.
Like, you know, if it's going to make an impact, it's basically the opposite end of the teeter-totter of like shock value. You could be, you know, impactful, or you could be shock, you know,
Right.
driven. Like it's an interesting way that people
connect
the dots with all that, you know, like for instance, like metal, for instance, will calm like my brothers down, you know, and usually if I'm listening to metal, it's to pump me up, or like, you know, like now, not always, don't get me wrong, that, but more often than not, I'm listening to like Indestructible, Disturbed right before I get ready to go into work.
Right. Yeah. Here we go.
Like,
we're going to face it today. We're going to get it.
Yeah.
I get it.
Yeah.
It's
definitely a pump up.
I don't know. I mean, I'm the same, but also like metal, like hardcore, metalcore, whatever it is, like that is what tones me down. It's what I wake up to. It's what I go to sleep to.
Yeah.
It's what I work to. As far as like what you said of that camaraderie with you and your siblings, as far as music goes, which my sister does not. My sister is, as far as I'm concerned, the perfect child of the family. I remember us, and I had like during like holidays and stuff, I had my license. She was in college and stuff, and we'd be driving to our family get-togethers and everything. And she was very into Taylor Swift and
Swiftie?
yeah, she's a Swiftie. Yeah, I'm not gonna go into that, but But the fondest memories of me and my sister are when we were in that era when she was in college and we're driving around for the holidays. And I would give her the aux cord to my car.
Yeah, man.
And she would play what she wanted to play. And I'm like, okay, you played that. Let me show you what I got of that song.
We would do the exact same thing. That's right, dude. And that's such a beautiful, because when it got to a point that my brothers and I would reach out, because at one point I was like country music or death, I mean, but granted, my dad was a cowboy by trade. I grew up on a ranch up until I was like 8 years old and didn't own a pair of sneakers. I had to run in PE in cowboy boots. I was, if my dad wouldn't have had open heart surgery and we stayed on ranches, I probably would have been a cowboy rather than which is funny to me now because I'm not a cowboy, like in any form or fashion. There's some heritage in that. But with the music, like when my brothers got to a point, and I did too, that we like matured enough to realize that there's quality in multiple genres, it's not genre specific. And like, it was funny how there's like ambassadors of music. Like for instance, Johnny Cash, like if you're not a country fan,
right,
you can probably choke down some Johnny Cash.
100%.
If you're not a rock fan, you can probably choke down some AC/DC. Like there's
Metallica
or
Meatloaf, or
there's plenty of these
middle ground.
Yeah, that it's not like the extreme, opening act for Rammstein in Germany. That's
that's epic.
No, I'm just saying that it's so. I've always with music and my brothers, my brother Billy. Well, to start, I have a brother-in-law named Billy as well. And he was a content king as growing up. Like he had every game system ever made. And I'm not even saying that I think he actually owns to date, like every one.
Yeah.
And like has hundreds upon hundreds of movies and CDs. And that was who took me to my first place. He had one of those Pioneer 5-disc, disc player. Yeah. And I remember my brother Billy was like, I need one of those. And he still has it, I'm pretty sure. But we would sit there and we would pick CDs and take turns, and listen for 5 albums, and listen to music. And I remember the first time I heard vinyl. I'm sure I heard it before that, but the first time I consciously remember putting a needle down on vinyl, and it was at my best friend James's house in Montana, and it was the Steve Miller greatest hits, and we listened to that. We listened to Boston. We listened to John Mellencamp, and there was one other. Like it used to be hours as a kid, like music. That's what's weird is like, even at a young age, music, like not all of my siblings play music.
Right.
But they all consumed it. And my mom didn't play music, but like she influenced my music just as much as my father, if not more, in the fact that, she loves music.
Right.
For her 70th birthday, I took her to see Bob Seger.
Oh yeah.
And it was the greatest show I've ever seen in my life. And, she taught all of us kids to jitterbug to, old time rock and roll.
Mm-hmm.
At my wedding, that's actually what we danced to for the son mother dance was old time rock and roll.
Amazing.
And so then so it was a cool moment. Right.
Right.
And so music has always been a beacon for me. Like it seems to be just as much a part of me as the color of my eyes.
Right.
Like it's like this weird, like embedded in my genetics. Like, I feel it that much. And I'm sure I'm not alone in that. Obviously, everyone has their own connection with it, but it's the only thing that feels natural to me
Right.
is creating it. It's but yeah, family, man, they do great.
So I know we've been going on for about over 30 minutes. Is there anything that you want to tell people as far as like what you're doing new or what's going to be coming out soon?
Yeah. So I'm waiting on a couple of album art stuff. I'm going to be releasing a song in January called Time to Heal. And it's probably the most powerful song I've written. And it's a recovery song. And it's a beautiful, I recorded it with Mark Spencer, who is an incredible human and musician and producer. And just, we instantly were like, we're going to be best friends. You want to go do karate, like step brothers kind of thing. Anyway, that's going to be coming out. And I'm slowing down on gigs. I do have some gigs in January. And those can be on my Willy James gang. All of my tags for everything is Willy James gang, and it's Willy with a Y.
Please, everybody, follow, like, subscribe. Everything helps. Anything.
Yeah, I really
helps.
appreciate it, and I'm going to be more consistent with content, and that's kind of my this next year is going to be more geared towards content rather than live performances. I'm still going to play out, still going to do, but I'm only going to do shows that I want to do. Like, nothing against. I am so thankful for every venue that booked me this year rather. But it's just, I have too many songs that need to be out, and I need to release them, and I need to package them correctly. And I can't do that when I'm playing, I'm working 60 hours or 40 hours or whatever, and then playing however many, like I'm hoping to do 2 shows, a month is kind of the ideal thing. And I'm going to have it by February. I'll have probably another 3 songs that I'm going to release kind of together. So definitely stay tuned. I got a lot of content that's going to be coming out, and I'm going to be doing a lot of songs. I'm also going to do a rendition at some point this next year. I'm going to do a rendition album called If I Were You, and it's going to be some of my favorite renditions that I do, because I don't do songs like the original. Never have. I think that it's better to approach songs how you would have done them. So that's kind of where the mind frame of If I Were You. So yeah, subscribe to like my stuff. I'm going to be better on YouTube and TikTok and the video platforms. My main thing's Facebook. I have Instagram, but I definitely wheelhouse in Facebook. So thank you for having me out, brother. And yeah, that's kind of the skinny on all that.
Oh, thank you for coming out. And what you said right there is so powerful, because my brother, Brandon Thomas, who's been on the channel.
Yeah, he's great too, man.
Oh my God, he's so,
yeah.
Like, just being with him and growing up with him in high school, like, his ability musically, like, he downplays himself so much. And I hate it because he is fantastic. But one of the things that he is very stronghold and steadfast on is like, I do not do covers. And to what you said on, like, just there's like, I'm not going to do it. If I do a rendition of something, I'm going to do it my way. I'm not going to do it exactly the same, which I know Brandon would be appreciative of. But I mean, that is so powerful, because that's showing yourself and your individuality and who you are.
Yeah,
in retrospect.
Absolutely. I think that even when I had the band, like I think that songs, there's a living element in them that is unspeakable, but like there's a maturity, the way they age, there's timeless songs that you could listen to the first time you heard it and listen to it 20 years later and still have that same
feeling, emotion.
And sometimes people may perceive that being, well, they used this instrument and the room was this size. And like you could sure try to break down like, you know, what it was they did.
I mean, everybody tries to do that for like Jimmy Page and everything. But like, what do we do for like Led Zeppelin?
I think of like playing others as like a reflection in like a blurred way. Like, so it's like the color scheme's still the same. Like you're looking at it, it's like the rain's pouring over it. Like this is how I visualize this in my head. Like, and it's like I'm going to perceive it differently than you do. Like, and I'm going to express it differently because when you're angry, the way you express anger is going to be different than someone else.
Correct.
When you're happy, and my favorite definition of music is the sound of emotion.
Yes.
Boom. So if you're, I think that in that it is, music is the sound of emotion and silence is the canvas you paint on.
Love that.
You know, like that's gorgeous.
That's perfect.
Right. So that's what I do. I love writing, and that's what I'm going. So at the end of it, the takeaway is that I'm going to write songs and I'm going to release them, and I hope people listen to them. But at the end of the day, I'm going to write songs and I'm going to release them.
Yes.
That's it. Beyond that, you know, I'll let that be figured out by someone that is greater than me. You know, I don't, I do feel that I was created to create, and I do feel that I have some powerful songs that can heal people, and I've had great opportunities to do that. So I'm definitely pursuing those avenues more than anything, is to have a more purpose-filled existence, you know.
Well, brother, I can tell you with your voice, your message, your lyrics, and the songs that you sing and where you bring them from, like you are definitely fulfilling all of that.
Well, thank you.
Yeah. Well, this concludes our second podcast of Behind the Barn Radio. So please follow Willie James, like, subscribe, do everything that you can to promote him and everyone else that has played on this channel. If it wasn't for you,
and this channel as well, because it's awesome.
Thank you. Whatever you could do. I mean, every little thing helps. It doesn't matter. It's free to like, subscribe.
Yeah.
To him, to me, to anybody else that has played on this channel. Just, it takes a second. It's fine. But Willie, I'm so happy to have you on here again.
Yeah, likewise, man. Thanks for having me out.
So good.
Yeah, this was a blast.
Thank you, brother.
Thank you.